Hello students, today we are going to start the next part of the buccal cavity, that is the tongue. In the last video we have already completed the teeth part where we have seen the different types of teeth in different organisms, the classification of teeth we have seen. Then we have seen the human teeth structure, and after that we have seen the permanent set formula and milk set formula of human. In this video we are going to start with the next part, that is the tongue. So first of all we need to know what is the tongue. This tongue is actually the structure that is present in our buccal cavity, that attached to the floor of the buccal cavity by means of one structure, that is the lingual frenulum. So you can see the structure. Suppose this is the buccal cavity, okay, this is the tongue, this is the buccal cavity. Then in this buccal cavity we are going to have one attachment, and that attachment is called as the frenulum. So this frenulum is going to hold or attach the tongue with the floor of the buccal cavity. So what is this? This is a structure, skeletal structure. What is the function of the tongue? This tongue will help in mixing the food with the saliva. First of all, whenever we take the food into the mouth, in the mouth, the food will mix with the saliva. So who is going to help in that process, mixing process? That is the tongue. And also it will help the food to swallow. So whenever we swallow the food, our tongue is going to push the food towards the backward. Next one, it helps in articulation of the sound. Whenever we speak, then the speech that is produced due to the excessive or less expulsion of the air. So how this air will be controlled so that we can properly make the sound, different voices we can, that means we can make the speech, that is because of the tongue. Next one, tongue is the very important organ that helps in the tasting of the food. That means it is actually one chemoreceptor, that means it can understand the taste of the chemical. So this is one chemoreceptor. Okay, so in our body we have two chemoreceptor. One is the nose, who can able to sense the smell of the any chemical, and if it is the tongue, that is another chemoreceptor who can able to taste any type of food. Now the next one, it helps in brush and clean the teeth also. The tongue will help also in this function, that is it helps in brushing and cleaning of the teeth. So after that we have to know about this third point, that it is a chemoreceptor, right? So if it is a chemoreceptor, how it will help? In our tongue, we are going to have one transversely, we have one sulcus terminalis that divides the anterior part and the posterior part of the tongue. Now in the tongue, what we have, if you see on the surface of the tongue, then you can see very minute small dot like structures we have seen. And what are these? These are known as the papilla. Suppose this is the papilla. In the papilla, the chemicals, whatever the food we take, the chemicals present in the food starts to dissolve here with the help of the mucus, and the dendrites that are present beneath it, they can able to get the sense of the taste of the food. That means what type of food or what taste food we have taken, that will be understood by this papilla, because just beneath that it has the dendrites. So those dendrites will send the signal to the brain, and we can able to understand or we can able to recall the taste, whether it is the bad taste or the good taste, we can able to get it with the prior knowledge. So this is our brain who can able to identify or decode the specific taste or memorize the specific taste. Now we will see the papilla, they are of three different types. In case of human, they are valid or circumvalid. fungiform, and the last one is the filiform. In case of the other animals like the grazing animals like cow, in case of them another papilla is present, that is the foliate papilla. But this foliate papilla is absent in human. Remember that it is absent in human, but yes, in case of the grazing animal, they are going to have the foliate papilla. We don't have the foliate papilla. So what type of papillae we have? We are going to have circumvallate or vallate, fungiform, and the filiform. Let us see the structure of the tongue. What are they? Okay, how the different type of papillae are present. Now if you see the papillae, the structure wise, the circumvallate is largest, fungiform that is middle, and filiform that is the smallest. And the circumvallate, they are present towards the bottom. Okay, around 8 to 12. Okay, around 8 to 12 circumvallate papillae are present. These are the largest type of papillae which is present towards the posterior most region. So it is like that. Okay, so these are the circumvallate, which is the largest one, which is sensitive to the bitter taste. Okay, remember, the bitter taste can be understood, can be sensed, can be tasted by the circumvallate. So this is the largest, and it is very few in number, that is 8 to 12, which is posteriorly present in our tongue. Now the next one, that is the fungiform. How it look like? See, it just look like this type of structure. Okay, so these are also very, actually more, they are more than that of the circumvallate, because circumvallate is present in least number, that is around 8 to 12. But yes, fungiform, they are more than that of the circumvallate, right? It is present on the, it is not largest, it is large. Okay, that means it is medium. Okay, and it is present on which region? It is present on the sides. Remember that it is present on the sides. Now the last type, yes, it is fungiform. It is more than that also. You can write here. I have drawn less. Okay, but you can write it, draw it more. Okay, then after that we are going to have the last type of papillae. What is that? That is filiform. Okay, so remember, this filiform, they are smallest. Okay, so these are smallest in number, smallest in size and largest in number. So they are present in our tongue, that is maximum. Okay, it is maximum in number. Okay, and it is smallest in size. Okay, it is smallest in size and largest in maximum in number. Remember that it is maximum in number and smallest in size. Remember, if it is the circumvallate, it can taste what type of taste? That is bitter taste. Okay, towards the bottom we can able to sense the bitter taste. Towards the sides, that is the fungiform, that type of papillae present, they can able to taste three type of taste, right? So first of all, towards the beneath, that means towards the anterior region, we can able to sense the taste, salty taste. Towards this side, we can able to sense the sour taste, and towards the tip, we can able to taste the sweet taste, right? So sweet, salty, and sour, that three type of taste that can be understood by the fungiform type of papillae. Remember, if it comes to the filiform will not have any type of papillae. That means it cannot understand any type of taste. Rather, it is going to have the tactile receptor. Tactile receptor means it is going to have the taste receptor. It can have the touch receptor. Okay, so filiform cannot taste. Okay, it cannot taste. Rather, what it can do, it can understand. It can understand the touch. That means it is going to have the tactile receptor, but not the taste receptor. Okay, remember that this is the filiform type of papillae. Remember that if it comes to the foliate, yes, if it is the foliate in case of the grazing animal, the foliate will be present here on these regions. Okay, but in case of human, the foliate papillae are not present. Okay, remember if it comes to the taste wise, okay, that means the taste wise posteriorly, that means beneath here towards this region, we can able to sense the bitter taste. Okay, remember that. If it comes to the sides, okay, anteriorly, okay, towards the front, anteriorly, we can able to sense the salty taste. Okay, then the same sides but towards the posterior region. Okay, towards the posterior region we can able to taste the sour taste, and after that we are going to have the tip. Okay, and in the tip region we can able to taste the sweet taste. Okay, remember that. And yes, other than this four type of taste, also we have some other taste. If you see, if it is suppose the chili, okay, so that taste, that is actually the taste of the chili, okay, that is not at all the spicy taste. It's not actually a taste, okay, it's the burning sensation. Okay, so remember, spiciness, this spiciness is not actually a taste. Okay, is not a taste. Otherwise, if you squeeze a chili in our suppose skin also, we can have the same sensation, right? That means, is it happening that in your skin we have the taste receptor? No. So what is that? This spicy is not even a taste, it's rather a burning sensation. Okay, it's a burning sensation, not a taste. Okay, remember that. So this is all about the structure, and you whatever the things you need to know about the tongue, that's all about it. After that, let's just move to the next part, that is in the buccal cavity we also have one very important structure, that is the salivary glands. So let's just move to the salivary glands. After that, let's just move to the next part, that is the salivary glands. So what are the salivary glands? They are present in a buccal cavity and it helps in releasing the saliva. So first of all, we'll see the salivary glands. Okay, so first of all, this is our buccal cavity. In the buccal cavity, just above, that means above the earlobe, we are going to have the largest salivary gland. And what is the largest salivary gland? Remember, this is called as the parotid gland, and here it is going to have one duct. And what is the name of the duct? That is known as the Stensen's duct. Okay, remember that it is called as the Stensen's duct. Next one, wherever both the two jaws will connect. Okay, here this is the maxilla, here this is the mandible. Wherever both the maxilla and mandible will join, in that junction we are going to have the next gland. What is that? That is known as the sublingual or submaxillary or submandibular gland. So this name of the gland, that is known as the submaxillary. Also we can call it as the submandibular gland, right? So submaxillary or submandibular gland, it is going to have its duct. The name of the duct is Wharton's duct. Okay, this is known as the Wharton's duct. Now on the floor of the tongue, okay, on the floor of the tongue we are going to have the next salivary gland, which is the smallest salivary gland. And the smallest salivary gland, the name of the salivary gland, it is known as the sublingual, and the sublingual gland will have this duct, and the name of the duct is called as the duct of Rivinus. Okay, this is called as the duct of Rivinus. Remember that how many glands we have? We have the three pairs of glands. What are they? These are the parotid. Okay, this is the largest gland. This parotid gland have the duct. The name of the duct is the Stensen's duct. Okay, right? So this is called as the Stensen's duct. It releases the enzyme. Okay, enzyme and water. What is the enzyme? That is the salivary amylase or ptyalin. Next gland, that is known as the submaxillary or submandibular, right? So this submaxillary or submandibular gland, it is going to have its duct. The name of the duct is Wharton's duct, right? This is called as the Wharton's duct. It is going to release the secretion, that is the mucus, right? The next one, that is the sublingual gland, right? So this sublingual will have its duct. The name of the duct is duct of Rivinus, right? And what is that secretion? It also releases the mucus. Now if you see the composition of the saliva, okay, so first of all just see what that saliva contains. So one thing we have to know, that per day we release around 1 to 1.5 liters of saliva. Remember, every day we produce 1.5 liters of saliva. It's too much, right? What is the composition? See, composition wise, it is going to have the enzyme. What is the enzyme? This enzyme is the salivary amylase, okay, and this salivary amylase is also called as ptyalin. Okay, this is also called as ptyalin or salivary amylase, which helps in breaking, or it helps in digesting. It digests the carbohydrate. That means what part of the carbohydrate? This is actually the starch. Okay, so starch will be broken down by the salivary amylase. So that's why whenever you suppose chew one bread, after some time it starts to taste sweet. Why? Because the starch present in the bread piece, that is acted upon by the salivary amylase, and it starts to digest and release the glucose, so that glucose tastes sweet, right? So this is the first enzyme present, that is salivary amylase, or also the second name also you have to remember, it is also called as ptyalin. The next thing you need to know, that it also contains water, maximum is water. Next one, it is going to have the mucus. Next, it is also going to have one specific type of bactericidal juice, that is the lysozyme. So it is going to have, it kills the bacteria. It's bactericidal in nature. Okay, so it is going to have the lysozyme, which help in breaking, or it kills the bacteria present or found in the food. So this is the composition of the saliva. Remember that per day we release around 1.5 or around 1 to 1.5 liters of saliva. This saliva, what is the function? Okay, if you see the function, what is the function of saliva? It helps in deglutination. Deglutination means it makes the food slippery, right? So that we can easily swallow it. Okay, so it makes the food slippery, okay, for easier swallowing. Okay, second thing, it help in digesting starch. Okay, so it makes a wet environment in our mouth. It kills the pathogen. And it makes a wet or fluid or liquid environment. Okay, so that is about the salivary glands you need to know. One thing you need to know, what is the largest salivary gland? That is the parotid gland. This is the largest salivary gland. And what is the smallest salivary gland? This is the sublingual. Okay, what is the location? The parotid gland is present above the earlobe. It's present above the earlobe. Then where the submaxillary or submandibular gland is present? It is present in the junction of both jaws. Okay, next one, if it is the sublingual, where it is present below the tongue, okay, or it is present in the floor of the buccal cavity. Remember one thing, if suppose the salivary gland, that is the parotid gland, is infected with a virus, it can have one disease. That disease is the mumps. You know all of it, that the parotid gland, the infection, okay, infection of the parotid is called as mumps. Okay, remember that mumps is a viral disease which is caused by a virus. I don't recall the name now right now. So this mumps, that is actually by one virus, it infect the parotid gland, and we have a little bit swallowing here in the region wherever we have the parotid gland. So that's all about the salivary glands you need to know. After that, let's just move to the next part, that is the Walder's ring and the pharynx region. We will discuss in the next video. So I hope you remember about the tongue and the salivary glands. So that's all about the video. I hope you understand the video. So that's all about it. Thank you.